Hi, I'm Kelly from Kelly Jewellery. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this pendant. I've put a list of everything you'll need in the description below, along with all my usual links. We've got Facebook, Instagram and Etsy, where we sell all my other written tutorials, if anyone is interested in having a nosy at those. To make this pendant you'll need 21 gauge square wire. You can use round wire if you like, so that's 0.8mm. I've cut 4 lengths at 8.5 inches, that's 22 centimetres, and I'm using a little bit of sterling silver today. I've got weaving wire, 28 gauge, so that's 0.3. I've wound mine onto a bobbin. This is a Bobeeze bobbin by Beadsmith that I've been writing on. But if you don't have a bobbin, don't worry, it just helps with the longer wires. It just stops it all flailing about while you're working with the longer lengths. So I've got a little teardrop cab today. This is, so mine's 30mm by 17, so anything around that kind of size, flat back. Tools, I've got my pliers, round nose pliers, wire cutters. I use nylon pliers, don't worry if you don't have these, they're optional. All my tools are Tronex. I'll put a list of all of my tools in the description below if you want to have a look into what they are. And there's a list of all this in the description below, all your wire lengths and everything. So cut your wires to the lengths that I have. Take your 4 main base wires, position your thumb centrally on the wires, and we'll start weaving just to the left of your thumb there. So we'll start with a few wraps around the bottom wire. The thing with square is it keeps twisting. That's it. So then we'll go around the bottom two, and we'll come up between those 2 wires. Then go around the next 2, so we go around the middle 2, come up between those 2 wires, go over the top, so we're going around the top 2, come up between those 2 wires, so same thing all the way up, and then we wrap around each wire on the way down. So we go around the top wire, come up between the middle 2, go around the 3rd wire, come up between the bottom 2, go around the 2nd wire and around the bottom wire, and that's how we repeat. Keep pushing your weave together as you go, and we'll repeat that a few more times. So I've done like 7 repeats of that weave. If you can hear all that noise, that's Gracie snoring. And then we'll have 3 wraps around the bottom wire, and then cut your wire at both ends. I like to give them a little pull first so they're nice and tight, and then press down those little cut ends so you haven't got any bits sticking up. So next we're going to grip that weave centrally, just to the right of the centre. And we're going to bend it into a V. This V needs to be the same angle as the bottom of your stone. So move to a flat surface and put your stone into that V, and we'll bring the wires. Oh, actually no, I want to twist that front. I want to twist the front wire. I'm glad I've remembered. So we've bent the V, so our wires are all trapped in there now. They're not going to move around, and I want to twist this top wire here. So take your nylon pliers if you have them. If not, you can just grip this wire with your standard pliers. Grip the end of it. You need to grip it quite firmly, and then take this end, and we're going to pull away from the pliers just a little bit, and we're going to twist. Now, I can't do this on camera because, as you can see, I'm too close, but we twist around and around this end, just keeping a little bit of tension on there as you go. So twist it for about 30 seconds, sort of. and you'll end up with this nice twisted effect in the wire. That's if you're using square. If you're using round, then it's not going to make any difference at all, so just leave that out. And I want to twist the other one as well, so take your other front wire and grip the end and twist that wire too. So I've done the other one, so just your front two wires are twisted. And move to a flat surface and we'll wrap the wires around the stone. Hold the stone into the V. You should try not to get a gap at the bottom there, you want it nice and snug. And then bring your wires around the stone. Easier said than done with silver. I don't know why I keep using silver for videos. I actually cut this wire for something else and I just found it on the shelf, so I thought I'll use it. So wrap around your stone, trying to keep it as close into that V at the bottom as you can, and then where your wires cross at the top, leaving a little gap at the top there, so we've got a nice V in these wires. I'm going to bend the wires up. So make sure those wires on the sides aren't crossing over each other. And give it a little extra bend. So I get it around the stone and I just put a rough bend in it so you know where it's got to be. And then I try and do a tidier bend in my hands afterwards. So take your weaving wire and we're going to weave at the top here. So just after the bend in the stone there. In the wire at the top of the stone. So we're going to add a weave here. So it's past, just at the top of the stone there. I'll start again. So we're going to weave just here, so it's just at the top of the stone. I'll pull these wires apart so I can see what's going on. Gracie moaning. So we're going to weave across those 4 wires and we're going to do the same weave that we did at the bottom. So you want it roughly to hold all the wires together at the top of the stone there. And we do the same weave as we did on the bottom. So go around 2 wires all the way up. And then you go around all the wires individually on the way back down. And we're not going to do as many repeats as the bottom, but we'll do a few just to hold it all together there. Got a new stone seller for you. Well, it's not exactly a new one, I mentioned him last time. I'll put a link on the screen in the description. So we've got reasonable prices, we've got really good quality, we've got good shipping times, cheap shipping. So, Gracie making all the noise. Check him out, don't take my word for it, and I shall see you all soon. Bye! So do enough repeats to kind of just reach the top there, and then finish with 3 wraps around the bottom wire. We'll cut this and use the weaving wire on the other side, and we'll put a weave on the other side too. And don't forget to Flatten down those little cut ends. So when you work the other side, turn it over. We're going to have to do the weave upside down so it matches the other side. I like to have it all matching, even though you're probably not going to see it, depending on what you do with the top. So we'll make it all matching anyway. So you want to make sure it's the same height. My weave absolutely slid up as I was weaving, and I've had to push it all back down. So we want to make sure that the weave starts off nice and low here. Pull your wires out a bit. And so we're going to weave upside down. So we'll start with a few wraps on the top wire. Lost my weaving wire. So start with a few wraps around that top wire. And then try and do the same amount of repeats as well. So to start your weave, you're wrapping around each wire on the way back down. It's so awkward trying to do it this close. Okay, I gotcha. And then we go around 2 wires on the way back up, and make sure your weave doesn't slide up there. So with this side, you want to weave right the way to the top because we're going to tie them together here. So I've done a few extra repeats on that side just to reach above here on this side. Why is that not in focus? So then holding it together, we're going to wrap around the whole thing. I want to go this way. And we're joining it together at the top, around and around the whole thing. Keep going. And then we're going to attach to one of these back wires here. So pull on the wire so they're all nice and tight, and then we'll go around one of the back wires a few times just to hold it in place while we decide what we're going to do next. Cut this tail off from the beginning of that weave on that side. Don't forget to press the little cut end down. So next we'll secure the stone. So pop your stone in. Push your stone right to the bottom. Whoops. And squeeze your wires around it. So we're trying to stop that stone from rising up. You may get a little gap. But what we'll do, we'll turn to the back to start with. Or like a little practice run of bending these wires in, and then we'll go and do the front ones. So grab that back wire. We're just making a gap between the wires, we're not actually bending it anywhere. And we're going to take this wire right at the bottom here, and I'm holding the top, and I'm holding the stone in too so it doesn't fly out. And we're going to bend this wire over the stone, and then I'm going to push the stone against the wire. Marked my wire a little bit. Turn it around, holding the wire at the top this time, which is actually the bottom. I'm going to grip the wire about here. We're going to pull it in, twisting the pliers, push the wire against the stone. So you kind of get a feel for it. If you start with the back, you can kind of feel what it's like to bend those wires in. So when you do it on the front, you've got to do it in one go. If you do it and then you go back and you correct it, and you go back and you correct it, you're going to mark all your wires. You can always pull it in a little bit with your fingers if you want to exaggerate the shape, but don't go back at it with your pliers because you will mark it. Okay, let's do the front. So turn to the front. We've got to do it in one go, yeah? I'm talking to myself here, obviously. So we've got a gap between the wires there. So we're going to grip this wire. So as we twist, we're going to pull the wire across the stone. So we're going to pull and we're going to twist. So I've got more of a subtle shape on this one. I did like a really big twist on this one, and I think that's how I marked my wire. So I've done like a little twist on this one, so I've just got like a scoop. Turn it upside down, hold in the other end, grip this wire, and just try and do the same as what you did to the other side. So if you twisted it, twist it. If you just bent it, bend it. Pull it over the stone. Take your time with it. You don't have to rush it. You can always correct it a little bit with your fingers. The twisted wire, obviously you don't see the marks as much if you do mark it a little bit. So then we're going to take this next front wire, so you just want a gap between your wires. So we're going to twist this wire and pull it in a little bit to match that wire. I'm kind of holding the top so it doesn't move too much. Turn him around. Do this one about here. Bring the wire in to match the shape of the front wire. My wires are a bit springy. So now looking at those top wires, we're going to take the back two wires I'm going to bend them back a bit rather than bending everything else. So we're going to take these back two wires, but I'd like 3 wires in this weave. So I'm going to take this one, looking at the back, I'm taking this one from the right, and I'm adding it to my 2 back wires. So I've got 3, and I'm going to weave across those 3 wires. So still holding it with the back facing you, we're going to weave up these 3 wires, and you want to get them nice and close to each other so the weave's nice and tidy, but you want to pull the ends of the wires apart a little bit. So I'm going to go between the bottom 2 wires and come up so I can try and pull this bottom wire forward a little bit because it's positioned to the back. So I'm going to wrap a few times around this wire. And my weave is going to be 2 wraps around the bottom 2 wires. Come up between those 2. And then we go 2 wraps around the top 2 wires. Again, if you're working with square, they do tend to twist, so give them a little squeeze to straighten them up. So we'll repeat that weave twice around the bottom 2, come up between those 2, twice around the top 2. And keep pushing your weave together as you go. So I've repeated that weave and I've done about 3 centimetres ish. Keep pushing it together as you go, and if you're working with square it's really hard to slide it down the wires, so you have to really push it down like between each repeat. Bending it away at the bottom there, and I'm going to bend it over to the front to make a bow. So we need to pull these wires out of the way, so I'm going to pull them to the sides. So I've got 3 on one side and 2 on the other, and I'm going to scoop this bail weave over to the front. You can use bail pliers to shape it if you want to, or you can just use your fingers. I'm going to bring the weave over the front, and then as it comes to the front there, I'm going to post the wires through the middle. Easier said than done with all this springy sterling. I'm going to pop the wires through the gap, the top, and then bring the bail around so it kind of sits nice and flat. Try and not bend it. Try and keep it nice and straight. I should have finished off my weave with a few wraps around one of the wires to stop it sliding about. So I'm going to try and do that. So finish it with 3 wraps around one of the wires before you post it through. So cut your weaving wire. Mine broke because it's silver and I should have finished it off before. I'm letting you see the little mistakes that I'm making that I'd normally just hide and retake, because I know a lot of people make mistakes. We all make mistakes and we try and hide them on the videos and go, look, I don't make mistakes, I'm perfect. So I'm showing you that I make many mistakes. So I'm just correcting that shape there. I've just pulled it back a little bit and I'm trying to get these wires to go through so it's flat rather than pulled to the one side. I'm squeezing the bail together a little bit, and then I'll bring the wires up and out to the side, so I've got 2 on one side and 1 on the other, and that will just kind of hold that bail in place and try and make sure it's all nice and straight. That's what we've got so far. So to secure the bail in place, once you're happy with the positioning of it, we're going to take the lower wires from the bail and we're just going to go around that top part so it holds it in place. Am I pulling the right one? No. So wrap it around and then squeeze it around with your pliers. And try and get it as high close to the bail as you can, so it's nice and tidy. And then we cut it so that it ends underneath at the back. So we cut it under there. Oh, come on. That's it. We do that with the other one as well. So this last wire from the back, because that bail is held in place now, I'm just going to bring it over and cut it because it's all held, and then I'm just going to bend that over just out of the way. I was confused for a little bit where it had come from, and then I remembered I used the 3 wires in the weave, so got there in the end. So I've bent that one over. Got a little tail end sticking out there, haven't I? So I've got 2 wires around the one side and 1 around the other, nice and high up out the way. So before we go any further, I just want to give the wires around the stone a good squeeze, so that's definitely all held nicely in place. So now we've just got these wires at the top, and you really can do anything you want with these. You can play around and come up with your own little design here, or you can follow me as I play around and try and come up with the design. So this one, I'm going to scoop it around. I'm going to bring it forward around the front of that bail there. And I'm going to bring it around. I'm going to leave it there for now. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to follow it. I'm bending it down at the base so I can put a scoop on it. I'm going to bring that wire around to follow. So then I'm going to take both of these wires and holding the wires against the bail, I'm going to pull them over to this side. And then these wires on this side, pulling it down again at the base. I'm going to scoop this wire over. And then I'm going to bring it around. And down on that side. So it kind of goes the other way and it scoops over the bail a bit like that. Bring it out to that side. This next wire, let's get a bit closer. This next wire, hold on, let's part those wires because they're stuck together. So I'm going to bring it forward. So I'm bending it back a little bit. I'm scooping it forward. And then I'm going to push it that way a little so it goes between those wires. Do you know what I mean? And I'm going to lean on that till it's next to the twisted one. And then I'm going to scoop it out to follow that twisted one. Does that make sense? And then this last one, I'm going to bring it up even higher. And I'm going to bring it, hold on, let's have a think. So if we bring it forward, well, I'm going to take it the other way. So it's going to come forward between those wires, but it's going to scoop this way. Is that going to work? So I'm lifting it up here and pushing down on it to get it in the middle. I'm going to scoop it that way a little bit. So I'm going to pull these two over to give that one a little bit of space. Bringing that one forward a little bit so it matches. So I'm going to bring this one forward a little bit so they're all kind of in line. This is going somewhere, I promise. So I've taken a little 3mm bead and I've added it to the twisted wire on this side. So I've got a bit of a gap here and I'm thinking I might twist that round with a bead on it. So then I'm going to take this twisted wire around again, and hopefully the bead will stay where I want it to in that twist. I'll show you in a sec, hold on. So I just took that wire around again with that bead on it. So now I'm going to take the twisted wire and the square wire from this side, and I'm going to take them over the side. Now you need to hold the front as you bend them around the side, otherwise you'll lose the shape. Let me take them over the side there to the back, and then I'm going to bend them around next to those two wires there, so they're just going to bend around that bail bit. So make sure they're how you want them to be. I'm going to bring them around a little bit just to exaggerate them a little bit. And then I'm going to cut them and just bend them around the back. So again, holding them all in place as best you can. Going to bend them around that woven section and then squeeze in place. I'll do it with that one as well. And squeeze that one into place. So this wire that comes this side, holding it in place there, I'm going to scoop it around so it touches that twisted wire there. And I'm going to join it to that twisted wire with a little bit of weaving wire. That's all I've got left. I might need a little bit more. I'm going to try using that little bit. So I wound 150 centimetres onto the bobbin to start with, so you might need a little bit more than that. So I'm going to bring it up to here. And I'm going to attach it onto that wire there. So 3 wraps around the straight wire, then post it around what's going on here. So 3 wraps around the straight wire, post it through between, around the twisted one, and then we'll go around the 2 wires a few times, and we'll finish with a few wraps around that straight wire. Oh, come on. So push it together, cut off the little ends. So if you are a beginner, leave me a comment in the comments below. Let me know how you'd get on with something like this. Is this too complicated? Would you need me to be more descriptive? Do I need to go slower on certain parts? If you are, I don't know if an absolute beginner could do this, but if you do, could you let me know? Because these wires at the top are a bit fiddly, but capturing the stone It's kind of the same way you capture most stones. Of course you can bend your wires at the front differently. There's so many things you can do to make it your own. But do let me know how you get on with this design. I'd love to know. And I do reply to all the comments. So we want these top ones to all be in line here. I'm just going to cut that one off and curl it, by the way, so we'll leave that for now. And then these two are going to go over the side on this side. So holding them nice and tight at the front there, I'm going to take them over the side to the back. But I'm a lot lower down this time. I don't know if I can get them around. I can probably get that top one around the weave section. But I'll have to finish the bottom one off. So check your shaping at the front. Every time you mess with a wire at the back, whether you're tightening it up or finishing it off, it does tend to move the wires at the front. Oops. So always keep turning it around and keep checking the shape. Take your time with it and keep looking over it. As you do something, then go back and make sure it hasn't moved the shaping how you want it to be. So holding it where you want the wires to be for the back, my top one can go around that top part. So I'm going to cut that off quite short. And I'm just going to wrap that around, still holding it down. Take my those pliers. I'm going to bend it around that bit. Sorry, I thought I was on the camera then. Thought I was on screen. So I've just wrapped it around and squeezed it around that veil. If you've cut it quite short like me, you want to really squeeze it around that veil so it's nice and secure. I don't know if you can hear my belly rumbling. So then we need to do this bottom wire. So making sure it's exactly where you want it to be at the front there. Take the wire over the side to the back. My wire keeps moving. And we're going to finish this wire off at the back. Now there's a couple of things you can do here. You can either lift this wire here and wrap it around this wire. You can bring it around and do a little something, which is what I'm going to do. Or you can, obviously you may get it in the top there if your like proportions are a little bit different to mine, it might fit through the top. I'm now going to attach this wire to that wire. So I've brought it around into a loop, and I'm going to attach the loop to that wire there with some weaving wire. So I need some more weaving wire. So we wrap a few times around the bare wire. Slide it down to be the other side of the join there. And then we'll go around the two wires, so it needs to be nice and flat really. Around the two wires. A few times, maybe 3 times. So I've attached that wire to the back wire. We need to cut off those little tail ends. And then as you tighten this wire, you've really got to keep checking that front shape because it's going to keep moving. Flatten down your little cut ends. We're going to cut this wire quite short. Oh, come here. And I'm going to tighten it up, and it will shift that wire, it should pull it round. So you need to hold the side here and try and not let it move. As you twist it around, you've got to pull it as you're twisting it so you don't, hold on, you've got to not pull it, so you've got to like bend it around as I'm twisting it around. And then check the shape hasn't moved, that's fine. And I like to close my curl, so I'm not going to do it with the round nose because I might pull it out of place. Push it against the stone. So I've squished it a little bit that way, it's all come together nicely. So I do tend to make up my own words as I go as well. I did squish the wire there, I don't know if that's a word. So here I'm going to have a nice, I say a nice big curl. It's not going to be that big. Sort of a big-ish curl. Because it's like at the front there, we're going to make it pretty. We're going to squeeze the end. I don't know if that's a word. So I'm just going to pinch the very tip of the wire to make a squidge. To squash it. Come on. So that's what a squidge looks like, and then we're going to curl it to follow the flow this way. I'm pulling the end around quite tight, and then I'm going to bend the wire around, and again I'm holding the top in place because as you twist this wire you're going to pull this wire out of shape, and you want to try and keep that shape. Let go of it now. What was I doing? Where was I holding it there? So still grabbing the very end, twisting it and pulling it around to make a little curl there. I'm not happy with that squidge, I'm going to trim it a little bit. And then when you're happy with it, press it against the stone. It's got a little curl on the front there. And there we have it finished. I don't know if I'm going to oxidise it or not because I think I quite like it the way it is. Less work, isn't it, as well? But if you do want to oxidise yours, I've done a video on oxidising and aftercare. I'll put a link in the description below. So there we have it, finished. I hope you managed to follow. I didn't confuse you too much. Please mention me when sharing pictures of your finished work online. I really appreciate everybody who does. Please don't show images of the back as it gives all my little secrets away. And thanks for watching. Thanks for all your support during my Black Friday sale, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.